Alright guys, let's look at our review. So first one, we want to multiply. We have two trinomials here. We're going to multiply, so we're going to distribute. We've got 12x squared times negative 15x squared. That gives me a negative 180x to the fourth. Go to the second term. We've got 12x squared times 13x is going to give me 156x cubed. We go to the last term. 12x times a negative 6 is going to be a negative 72. Negative 72x squared. Now we're going with our second term, so negative 4x to the negative 15x squared is going to give me a positive 60x to the third. Negative 4x to the positive 13x is going to give me a negative 52x squared. And then to the last term is going to give me a positive 24x. Alright, now last term, negative 8 times negative 15 is going to give me a positive 120x squared. To the middle term, negative 8 times 13 is going to give me a negative 108x. And the last term is going to give me a positive 48. Now we're going to combine like terms, so I see an x to the fourth, no more x to the fourth, so 180x to the fourth. X to the third here, x to the third here. We're going to combine those together and we get positive 216x to the third. We look at our x squared, so I see an x to the second power, x to the second power, x to the second power. We combine those and we get negative 4x squared, and then we have negative 84x and the 48 at the end. Looking at number 2. Number 2, we want to simplify this expression, so we need to distribute here. So we've got negative 3x to the third y squared times 2x squared y squared. So multiply our coefficients, negative 6. That's going to be x to the fifth, y to the fourth. We go to the second term, so positive 3 times 1 is going to give me a 3, x to the fourth, y to the sixth. And then we go to the last term, which would be a negative 6, x to the third, y to the second power. Now again, we can simplify if we can, but we don't have any like terms, so there's your answer. We got number 3. Number 3, we want to simplify. We're going to add these together, so we're going to combine like terms. I see an x cubed. I see an x cubed. That gives me a 3x cubed. Negative 2x squared. No more x squared, so negative 2x squared. X to the first power is going to be a negative 5 right here. And then we combine our numbers at the end. It's going to give me a negative 1. We're looking to subtract g of x minus f of x. So here's g of x. So we've got 10 plus 4x minus x squared minus 4x cubed. And we're going to subtract this whole thing. So minus 2x cubed minus x plus 8x squared. We need to distribute this subtraction sign. So that goes there, there, and there. So we've got 10 plus 4x minus x squared minus 4x cubed minus 2x cubed plus x minus 8x squared. Combine like terms, we get negative 6x cubed minus 9x squared plus 5x plus 10. Look at number 5. We want to solve for k. Okay, again, this would be an 18 right here. What we got to do is we're going to combine, right? So this is my x squared term. This is my x squared term. So I've got 2x squared, and then this is a minus a negative, so plus kx squared. And that has to be equal to that term, which is 3x squared. So let's look at our coefficients, because we're going to combine these together. So I've got 2 plus what number is going to give me 3? Well, we know that k has to be equal to 1. Alright, synthetic division. Okay, we need to make sure that every exponent is represented. Alright, so we have an 8v to the fifth. So we've got 8. V to the fourth is going to be 32. V to the third is going to be 0. V squared is going to be 0. V to the first is 5 and 20. So we have our coefficients there. This is v plus 4, so we're going to divide by a negative 4. Bring down the first one, there's 8. That's a negative 32. That cancels out that 0. Anything times 0 is 0, so 0 again. Anything times 0 is 0. 0 is in. Bring that down, so we've got 5 right here. That's going to give me negative 20. So here is your answer. So we're going to be 1 less degree than that, so it's going to be 8v to the fourth plus 0v cubed, 0v squared, 0v plus 5. We're looking to long divide here, so we've got, again, make sure everything is represented. 2x to the fifth plus x to the fourth minus 15x cubed minus 2x squared plus 10x minus 24. We're dividing by x squared minus x minus 4. Alright, so we know we need a 2 right here. To get to that 2, we need x to the fifth, so we already have x squared, so x to the third. We're going to subtract this, so we've got 2x cubed, or sorry, x to the fifth, excuse me. We've got a negative 2x to the fourth. We've got a negative 8x cubed. We're going to subtract that whole thing. So those cancel out. We've got x to the fourth minus negative x to the fourth, so we get 3x to the fourth. Negative 15 minus negative, so positive 7x to the third. Bring that down, negative 2x squared plus 10x minus 24. So now we're looking at what to get 3x to the fourth. We need a 3. We need an x to the second power. So that's going to give me 3x to the fourth. We've got a negative 3x cubed, and we've got a negative 12x squared. Subtract that whole thing. Those cancel out. 7 minus negative 3 is 7 plus 3. It's going to give me 10x cubed. Negative 2 minus negative 12 is going to give me a positive, so positive 10x squared plus 10x minus 24. So now we're looking at how to get 10x cubed. It's going to be a positive 10x. So it's going to give me a 10x cubed. That's going to give me a negative 10x squared. That's going to give me a negative 40x. Subtract that whole thing. Those cancel out. You got 10 minus negative 10 is going to be a positive 20x squared. 10 minus negative 40 is going to give me a positive 50x and minus 24. Alright, let's go back. I missed a minus sign. This should be a negative, because negative 15 minus negative 8, so positive 8, so negative 7x cubed. Alright, so let's try this again. We got 3x squared. It's going to give me a 3x to the fourth. 3x squared minus x is going to give me a negative 3x to the third power. 3x squared minus 4 is going to give me a negative 12x squared. So again, we're going to subtract that whole thing. So we got negative 7 minus negative is going to give me a negative 4x to the third power. Okay, we've got a negative 2 and a minus a negative, so negative 10x squared, positive 10x squared, excuse me. Bring that down, plus 10x minus 24. Now, how do I get a negative 4x to the third power? I know I need to multiply by negative 4x. So negative 4x to the third, negative 4x times negative x is going to give me a positive 4x squared. Negative 4x times a negative 4 is going to give me a positive 16x. Subtract that whole thing. Those cancel out. You got 10 minus 4 is going to give me a 6x squared. 10 minus 16 is going to give me a negative 6x minus 24. And then last but not least, I need a 6x squared. So we're going to multiply by 6. It's going to give me 6x squared. 6 times negative x is going to give me a negative 6x. 6 times negative 4 is going to give me a negative 24. Subtract that whole thing. Those cancel out. Those cancel out. Those cancel out. Fantastic. There's my answer. Alright, we're looking to factor this expression, so we will need to set up our asterisk method. We're looking at factors of a times c, so negative 22. That add to give me 9. So again, factors of negative 22 that add to give me 9 is going to be negative 11 and 2. So we need a positive 9, so it's going to be positive 11, negative 2. Alright, so when we cancel out if we can, so that reduces to x over negative 2. So we got x minus 2 and 2x plus 11. Alright, we want to factor this. I see a GCF of 3, so we factor that out. X squared minus 9. We can factor this as a difference of squares, so this becomes 3x minus 3, x plus 3. Same thing here. We have a difference of 2 cubes. Okay, so this is x cubed minus 1 over 4 cubed. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a minus b, and then we have a squared plus ab plus b squared. Alright, so this is a, this is b. So we've got x minus 1/4. We've got x squared minus, or sorry, plus 1/4 x, because ab, and then plus b squared, so plus 1 over 16. Looking at number 11. Again, we're looking at factoring. Okay, factoring by grouping here. So we want to factor out our GCF here, which is an x squared. It's going to be left with x minus 5. We want to factor out a negative 1 here. It's x minus 5. So a factor is x minus 5 and x squared minus 1. Now, we're not quite done yet because it's a difference of squares. So this becomes x minus 1, x plus 1, and we have x minus 5. Here we want to factor out our GCF of 4. This becomes x to the 4th minus 16. This is the difference of two squares, so this becomes 4x squared minus 4 and x squared plus 4. And once again, difference of two squares here. So we've got 4x minus 2, x plus 2, and then you have this x squared plus 4. Here we're looking to simplify. Okay, so I want to factor what I can. This is a GCF of 6, so this becomes n minus 5. This is a difference of two squares. This becomes negative 1, n minus 5, n plus 5. So let's cancel those puppies out. On the top we've got 6, on the bottom we've got n plus 5. Here we want to simplify this. Okay, so the top factors into 3a minus 2, a minus 1. The bottom factors into 3a minus 2, 2a plus 3. So the 3a's minus 2 cancel out. So we've got a minus 1 on the top, 2a plus 3 on the bottom. Same thing here. We want to multiply. So what we're going to do is we're going to cancel what we can. So that cancels out with that. This becomes a 5. This x cancels out with the x. It doesn't matter. Let's cancel these out. So this x squared, this x to the 4th. Those cancel out. We've got x squared here. This y squared cancels out with this y squared. This 6 cancels out with this 12. It becomes 2. Y cubed z. So 5y cubed z over x to the 3rd, because x squared times x, z to the 4th. And there's a 2 right there. Alright, so again, we're not done yet because I see z's here that can be canceled out. So that cancels out with that. So we get 5y cubed over 2x cubed z cubed. Number 16, again we're going to multiply, factor what we can. Okay, so I see here that this factors into m plus 2, m plus 7. M on the bottom, so that m can cancel out with that m. This factors into m minus 7, m plus 7. So the m plus 7's cancel out. We get 2m on top times m plus 2. On the bottom we've got m minus 7. Nothing else to do. Alright, look in here, we want to find the quotient. What that means, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal here. So we've got 8x to the 4th over 12y cubed, or to the 4th. We've got 6y to the 5th on top, 24x squared on the bottom. Want to cancel out, we can. That cancels out, it becomes 3. That cancels out, becomes 2. X to the 4th, x squared, this becomes a 2. Y to the 5th, y to the 4th, that cancels out. That becomes 1y right there. So we've got x squared on top. We've got 6 on the bottom. X squared y. X squared y, 6 on the bottom. Alright, looking at number 18. Number 18, again, we're going to multiply by the quotient. So p squared minus 3p over p squared plus 4p minus 21 times p squared minus 49 over p squared minus 10p plus 21. So again, flip the second fraction. Want to cancel out what we can, so this is a difference of greatest common factor, excuse me. So p minus 3 over p plus 7, p minus 3, factor that out. On the top here we've got p minus 7, p plus 7. On the bottom we've got p minus 7, p minus 3. Cancel out what we can, so p plus 7s, p minus 3s, p minus 7, so we've got p on top, p minus 3 on the bottom. Here we want to subtract, so we have a common denominator, so all we're going to do is subtract here. We get 4x minus 3 and we get 2x plus 5. What I did is I factored out, this was 8x minus 6 over 2x plus 10. When I did that, and I factored that out, the GCF, factored that out, the GCF, the 2's cancel out, we get 4x minus 3 over x plus 5. We want to find our common denominator here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this and find our GCF, so 5 n plus 1. We're going to factor this out, and this becomes 5 n plus 8 n minus 1 plus the ends cancel out here, so 7 over 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this by 3, we're going to multiply this by 5n plus 8, n minus 1. Sorry, the 5's cancel out, so we're going to multiply this by n plus 8, n minus 1. Multiply this by 3. Okay, so what we do is we get 3n plus 3 plus 7n squared plus 49n minus 56 over 3n plus 8n minus 1, and we get a answer of 7n squared plus 52n minus 53 over 3n squared plus 21n minus 24. Alright, looking at graphing. So we have two functions here. Okay, we have our cubic function. For the domain of a cubic function and the range, it's all real numbers. If it's to be symmetric, it has to go through so for it to be odd symmetric, it's got to go through the origin for the inflection point. Well, here we know that this is a vertex or an inflection point at 1, -8. So we know that our inflection point is not at the origin, so our point is neither 1, -8. So we know we have a symmetry of neither. To find the intercepts, what we're going to do is we're going to plug in 0 for x and solve, plug in 0 for y and solve. So our intercepts here are at -1 and 0, and at 0, -7. Is it increasing or decreasing? Well, I see a negative right here, so it's a reflection, so we know that it's decreasing. For my end behavior for a decreasing function, as x approaches -infinity, f of x approaches positive infinity, and vice versa, as x approaches positive infinity, f of x approaches -infinity. Alright, so here's our inflection point. We have one at all of those right there, so a cubic function looks like that right there. Same thing here, we have another cubic function. So we want to identify the domain, all real numbers. Same thing, range, all real numbers. We can see here that our inflection point's at -2, +1. So -2, +1. So we know it doesn't go through the origin. We know we have a vertical compression. So we know that it's neither because it doesn't go through the origin. Our intercepts are at -6, 0, and at 0, 9/8. We know that's increasing because there was no reflections, so increasing function, which means my end behavior as x approaches -infinity, f of x approaches -infinity, and as x approaches positive infinity, f of x approaches positive infinity. Alright, so now we have a point there. We have another intercept at 0, 1.1 something something something. So my graph looks something like that. For our cube root functions, same thing. We're looking at all of our transformations to our cube root function. So we have a stretch there. Okay, we have a horizontal compression there. We have a change to my inflection point there. So my inflection point is going to be at 4, 0. We go over 4, bam, there it is. With that up, my domain, all real numbers. My range is all real numbers. If my inflection point's not at the origin, it's neither. Our intercepts are at 4, 0. And 0, 6. So 4, 0, bam, 0, 6, bop, there it is. Is it increasing or decreasing? We have a reflection here. Okay, so we know that it's a decreasing function. So as x approaches -infinity, f of x approaches positive infinity, and vice versa, as x approaches positive infinity, f of x approaches -infinity. So my graph looks something like this. And lastly, again, what we want to do is we want to factor out this negative. This becomes x plus 1. So it looks like that function right there. So we have two reflections here. So we know that's going to be back to an increasing function, which means my end behavior is -infinity to -infinity, and positive infinity, f of x is positive infinity. Okay, I have two transformations here, so it's a neither for my symmetry. My intercepts are at -28 and 0, and at 0, 12. So domain still all real numbers, range is still all real numbers. 0, 12, my y-intercept there, 0, -28 is way over here. Okay, so my graph looks something like that.